What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new series, Rebuilding the New York Giants, the moment you have been waiting for. I just want to say thank you to everyone that followed my Raiders rebuild. Definitely our most successful, most viewed rebuild series in any Madden we've done so far. None of this would be possible without you guys being active in the comments, giving suggestions and liking the videos and all that stuff. It's so great. Really excited for another great series, and we really topped it off with the Super Bowl win in our last season of the Raiders rebuild. Now we're going to take over as Jay-Z, the owner of the New York Giants. Have a little fun, but that's not a totally unrealistic purchase there. Jay-Z's got a little bit of money and a sports agency to boot. So Jay-Z, Sean Carter, we're going to take over the New York Giants. We still have our head coach, Pat Shurmur, and we are actually taking over here in Week 13 with the current standings set. So we're actually going to get to see how the real-life standings are going to play out. Of course, using my roster. One exciting thing about this rebuild is we are going to use custom drafts all the way through as opposed to just the first two seasons. So we won't get those inflated EA ratings down the line, kind of ruining things a little bit. So, finding the offensive line specifically for this team is going to be a big need that is going to be much harder using my rating scale. So whether you are familiar with how I do my rebuilds or not, these are heavy realistic rebuilds. We're basically trying to make all of the realistic moves, acting as if we were in the actual GM seat, making realistic signings and trades when the game engine lets us make trades. And then as far as playing the actual games, what we're going to do is 3 games a year we do play the moments, but it's a bit of a mini game of sorts. We have to pick and choose. We get 3 play the moments inside each game and a maximum of 1 complete drive. And then we are going to do 1 game a season. We play every offensive snap. 1 game a season. We play every defensive snap. And then we had a recommendation. I'm sorry to whoever this was for not going back to figure out who it was, but we're going to do playing just the 4th quarter of 2 games a year, regardless of what the score is at that time. So let's get into this thing here. We're at an interesting time in this franchise because obviously out of the division race, we're 3-8, and we're really starting to think about draft stock. We're not going to complain if we win any games, but we got to start thinking about who our quarterback of the future is going to be. This team has obviously held on to Eli Manning for too long. We're not going to beat around the bush there. We are going to move on from Eli Manning. We will pay him his respect and let him finish out this season. But we have a lot of work to do on this roster. The offensive line is an absolute mess as well. And then defensively, we've got a lot of work to do. Landon Collins, I would like to make him a big piece of the future here. We've got some D linemen here with Dalvin Tomlinson and BJ Hill, but this is really going to be a tough rebuild. This is even probably harder than the Raiders because we're coming in with arguably less talent as some of our best players are getting older. We might have to trade away some of these. We're not going to have the same draft capital that we had with the Raiders after the Khalil Mack trade. So this thing's going to be interesting. I know a lot of Giants fans are excited to see what I do with their team starting at our very situation here as we're recording this on November 29th. So we're going to move forward here. Excited to see how the playoffs shape up, given that we've set the standings to reflect real life. We've got the Bears this week, and we do pick up a loss to the Chicago Bears, 24-17. And right now our focus players are Saquon Barkley, Will Hernandez, and Landon Collins. Will Hernandez being really the only positive spot on that offensive line. I definitely want to talk to Landon Collins. There were some issues that came up around the trade deadline, but I do want him to be a big piece of the future here. Really a superstar safety in my opinion. And he's only 24. He can be a building block for this defense as we look to bring in young talent. He can be a leader. He can be a franchise player for us. I have no problem paying him a good chunk of money. I'm going to even give him a 5-year deal and hope he likes that. A little over $10 million a year for a safety. And he is going to stay. So Landon Collins is going to be a large piece of this franchise build. We are not going to let him hit free agency like he had done in the Raiders rebuild, where we actually signed Landon Collins. So now we play the Washington Redskins, who are finishing out this simulation, I believe, with Alex Smith, and I had actually turned injuries off to this point. I'm going to go ahead and turn those on now. For those wondering about our XP sliders, 100 everything except for offensive line, who I believe get kind of shafted. What we do is set this to 150, 160, and 170, and then I'm going to try to remember to lower those to 100 when we advance to the postseason, because those we don't want those Pro Bowl awards and stuff being too overpowered, but the weekly training should be higher for the offensive line. And that's saying a lot, because I really do want linemen to be hard to develop in this game, but it is a little too difficult considering they don't really get any awards outside of, if they win Pro Bowl or Best O-Line. They're not really getting in-game boosts like a lot of those other positions. And then for gameplay sliders, everyone always so curious about these. I'm not perfect with the sliders. I usually tweak around with them, but this is what we're going with here. We've definitely lowered pass blocking since I last talked about our slider set. Pass coverage, pass defense, reaction time I've lowered. But there you go. There's our sliders if you want to pause it and set that up in your own franchise, or if you're just curious what we're playing on. All Madden, normal game speed. Injuries at 17. So we got the Redskins here, kind of hoping we keep losing. Get that high draft pick. Oh no, we won. We don't want that. Can't you just be a good Eli Manning and lose? Why you got to score 35 points against the Redskins? All right, let's pick up a loss against the Titans now. Come on. That's more like it. 29-22. We're 4-10. So the Colts are 9-5. They've continued to win. And the Eagles, just like I predicted a week ago, have taken control of the NFC East. Let's see, what other interesting playoff races are coming down to the wire? AFC North, the Steelers pulling away, so that AFC South tightly contested there. The Colts catching up to the Texans. Wow, the Patriots have fallen off. Just a game ahead of the Dolphins. AFC West, about what you'd expect. So the NFC North, so it looks like the Packers beat the Vikings in the game. We can't force a tie, so we had to leave that one up to a sim. So the Packers have won out, and the Bears and the Vikings have lost 2 straight. So that's what it would take for the Packers to be in the mix there. Obviously a little skewed. They would still be, I believe, a half game back there because of the tie situation. NFC South, the Panthers have fallen off. And yeah, so we'll see how this whole thing shapes out. So we got to go to Indianapolis. Hopefully we can pick up another loss here. Nice, 24-21. Keep it close, but pick up the loss. And we're heading on to the postseason. Can we finish 4-12? Get that top 5 pick locked up, hopefully. Nice, 42-7. We lose. So who made the playoffs? Steelers, Colts and Texans, Patriots, Chiefs and Chargers. That's probably the 6 teams I would pick to finish up the season. How about in the NFC? So the Bears pull away. The Lions come in hot. Vikings fall off. The Packers can't close. So the Bears are headed to the playoffs. The Saints, the Eagles, and the Redskins. That's not going to happen. The Rams and the Seahawks. And then the yearly awards. Todd Gurley, MVP, Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck, and Drew Brees. So despite not being able to force any statistics, I mean, those are 4 really realistic candidates there. Brees, Gurley, Luck, those are all the guys. I mean, Mahomes, I guess, is not in there. Coach of the Year goes to Sean Payton. So Todd Gurley's going to win Offensive Player. Manti Te'o, I've seen him win it a lot. That's pretty dumb. And then Saquon Barkley's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Love that. Defensive Rookie is going to go to MJ Stewart of the Bucks. Best quarterback, Carson Wentz. Running back, we come in second to Todd Gurley. Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas. Golden Tate having a good year, starting with the Eagles in this. Teron Armstead wins Best O-Line. I would give that to him in real life. Julius Peppers, wow, Best D lineman at 38 years old. Love that. Best linebacker, Khalil Mack. Best defensive back, Brent Grimes, with a stunning season somehow. And then let's go to the AFC. Andrew Luck, offensive player. Eric Berry, defensive player of the year in a world where he plays all year. Josh Allen wins offensive rookie. Okay. Sam Darnold comes in second. Defensive rookie of the year, Darius Leonard. How about that? Best quarterback, Andrew Luck. Le'Veon Bell plays. Fun to see a little alternate universe stuff. What might have happened if these guys were in there for whatever reason. David DeCastro. Melvin Ingram gets best D-line. Myles Garrett up there. Best linebacker, Von Miller. Eric Berry, best D-back. And Justin Tucker, of course, best kicker. So let's do our upgrades. We got plenty. Before we do this, we should probably set our schemes to be what we want to run here. So I think we're going to go with the vertical zone run offense. We'll stick with the 3-4. And then for selfish reasons, I'm going to stick with Green Bay's playbook so I can continue to practice it for the TFGO League. It does fit the scheme that we want to run here, though. So we got some staff decisions, too. I'm going to let both our scout and our trainer leave. Let's do these upgrades. So Collins, we're going to really focus on hybrid, get him to be kind of a versatile leader of this defense. Ooh, wow. That was looking like it might not be very good, but that's a big 3-man, 2-zone. So some good developing there for Landon Collins. Will Hernandez looks to be a stud for us. That's a good upgrade right there. Stick with this agile. It's the scheme fit. Ooh, a speed boost. So those are some good upgrades. Oh, we still got one more. Never mind. Good progression for Will Hernandez for sure. We are going to fix when our players lose a development trait that we disagree with. This game is very broken, in my opinion, in terms of the development trait system. You know, Odell Beckham, even if he had a down year, you're probably not taking star away from him, a guy that's had an incredible career. But even then, the guy makes the Pro Bowl and loses his superstar development. That's just a joke. I honestly am in shock that EA has not taken a look at this system yet at all since they released the game. They haven't tuned it at all. We're going to focus on possession for Odell. Oh, wow. The run blocking's just shooting up for him. So Odell is a freak, man. We know that. And I think I'm actually going to go in and edit his contract to look like the one in real life does. Saquon, I'll probably go with the power for a few of these. 3 trucking. I mean, why not? Just go all power. Whew. He's up to 88 trucking. Can't wait to play with him. Sam Beal, he picks up 3 upgrades in development this year. That's a bit of a surprise. This was the Giants' supplemental draft pick that they used, I think, a 3rd-round pick on or something. So hoping to make him a piece of the future here. Talented athlete. Couple good upgrades there. Just kind of spreading out the love a little bit for him. Lorenzo Carter. This is an interesting player for us. Kind of a freak athlete, edge rusher. He's got quick development. Definitely a guy we're going to start full go next year. We might look at trading Olivier Vernon as we try to get young on this defense. Same can be said about Janoris Jenkins, certainly. Sterling Shepard's going to be a nice weapon for whoever is our quarterback next year. It looks like he lost a development trait. What were his stats like? Well, he had a career high in receiving yards and yards per catch. I don't think that warrants losing that development. Alec Ogletree going to go field general. We'll see what we do with him. We don't have a lot of talent at linebacker, so we might end up keeping him. Grant Haley. This guy I really like. I liked him coming out of Penn State. Smaller guy, but a freak athlete, super quick. So we'll probably start him in the slot next year, see if we can turn him into a player. And then the rest of these guys, we're just going to do upgrade all players to save some time. So let's keep moving through these playoffs. Get to hire some staff members now. I want the best of the best. I want the trainer that the Patriots want. How much do you want, Dan Winters? We want to stay healthy. You want to become the highest paid trainer in NFL history? Come to New York. And then we also want an O-line scout. So Wes York, please be our dude. Nice. Top class additions to the staff. Love that. Let's see. Did we get any Pro Bowlers this year? Odell. That looks like it's it. The Super Bowl is between the Bears and the Stullers. The Bears get the job done with Mitch Trubisky in year one. How about that? And here we go to the offseason. So the Bears win the Super Bowl with the first year of Matt Nagy, defeating the Steelers. Let's take a look at our regression and if we need to fix any of it. Nate Solder actually doesn't get hit that bad. The 6 run block and 6 impact block is a little rough. We're going to cut that by about 60%. Janoris Jenkins at 30. He should definitely regress and see how bad it was. I'm actually okay with all that regression. He is slowing down in real life. Other than that, we should be good. So this is the time of year where we want to think about trades and what we want to do with these players. So I feel like it's time to just release Eli. We're going to have to take a cap penalty, but it's time to move on. If you really don't want to retire, you can try it out somewhere else. No one's going to trade for Eli. And I'm going to be a good Samaritan and release Chad Kelly, even though he has promise. I want to run a clean organization here. Jonathan Stewart, time to go, buddy. Olivier Vernon picks up star development from his performance last year. But at 28 years old, he's probably worth about a second-round pick that we could use to get younger at that position. So we're going to try and trade him away. Well, it looks like trades actually aren't a part of this week, so next week we'll take a look at trades. Let's see, contracts. Aldrick Rosas is a good kicker. I'm not too worried about our cap space right now, so I'm okay paying him. So he's going to come back. Kerry Wynn had a nice year, just kind of going off of real life. He had a nice year. Obviously not going to pay him a bunch of guaranteed money, but we do need players up front, and he's a nice versatile piece, so I'm okay bringing him back for a couple of years. He doesn't want to, though. Jamon Brown. Okay guard. He's a guy that we probably want to just keep as many talented linemen inside of this team as possible. Not going to pay him what he was originally asking for, but we'll see what he thinks about this. So he's going to test free agency. Okay. Anyone else here? This Evan Brown, he actually isn't too bad. I'm going to offer him an extension. Oh, none of these guys want to stay. They all want out. Spencer Pulley, our starting guard, our starting center, is a free agent. We can do better than that. Really not worried about letting the majority of the depth on this team leave. So let's see what free agency holds for us. We're going to make some trades, I think. Not a whole lot of available free agents. There's some options at quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, Nick Foles could be serious considerations here. So could Tyrod Taylor. I'm just kind of not in on Tyrod's upside right now. I'm definitely going to make a run at Teddy Bridgewater. So let's just get in on that market. I'll give him a 2-year deal. Trying to be realistic with the contracts. And, he's going to get about, that same deal he got heading into the year, a little more probably, as a free agent. Case Keenum got about $20 million, so we're going to give Teddy a 2-year, $40 million contract. We are that desperate for quarterbacks. And I would think that that's going to blow anyone out of the water. No pun intended. Jerick McKinnon gets released by the Niners. I do really like the idea of bringing in either Ty Montgomery or Theo Riddick to have a receiving back to help out in relief of Saquon, but we're going to hold out and see how that market shapes up. Wide receiver, we might think about one of these guys in one of the later days. And then offensive line, I'm really in the camp where I want to do everything I possibly can to be serviceable on the offensive line for whether it's Teddy or whoever comes in here. So Brian Winters is a really good guard that plays across the way or inside our own stadium, really, for the Jets. We're going to make a run for him. 3-year deal. The Dolphins really want him, so we got to run him up a little bit. Sometimes you just got to overpay for these linemen. And it looks like Jamon Brown's getting offers as well, so we really got to hope Brian Winters takes this because we don't want to pay both these guys a bunch of money. We do need a center. I think Spencer Long could be a good plug-in here. Just a good pass protector. Give him about $3 million a year. Trent Brown, I'm willing to pay up for a good offensive tackle on the other side. That right tackle position where Trent Brown's actually probably better suited to play right tackle. He would be a big upgrade from what we got right there in Chad Wheeler. So we are cashing out for offensive linemen. The rest of these positions, we're probably just going to hold off and maybe consider some of these on later days, but not going to get any bidding wars, I don't think, on the defensive side, because the defense for us is going to be a complete rebuild. And then how about we look at some of these trade opportunities? So Olivier Vernon, I think he would be worth a second-round pick to a contending team that needs a pass rusher. The Panthers would make a little sense, and the Packers would make sense. I kind of feel like he fits with what the Panthers want a little more. He's getting older, so they're going to look for him to be a D-end. I'm going to assume Julius Peppers retired after a great season, so they're looking to replace that retirement. Yeah, so they really need that edge rusher, and I almost feel like we should move him to defensive end because they're going to change how they value him. This game doesn't think correctly in that way. But let's just see if they'll do it, and then we can do it on the back end. We just want their second rounder. All right. I'll make sure I go and change him. And then while we're doing that, we got to make Odell's contract be what it is in real life. So Odell has 5 years. His signing bonus was $41 million. And then we'll make his salary just a little bit lower because Madden freaking backloads all their contracts. So if we make it what it is in real life, he's going to be like a $40 million cap hit in the last season, which is just absolutely brutal. So we'll go with like 75 mil. So that way, this is going to more accurately reflect what his cap numbers are going to be throughout his contract. It's going to be a little more in the front end, but this way we're not looking at $27 million for his last year, which is just ridiculous. Let's go ahead and switch Vernon over to defensive end for them. I think Panthers fans would be pretty excited about that trade. Like, he fits very well. He'd be a great replacement for Julius Peppers. And then Janoris Jenkins, he's probably worth about a fourth, maybe a fifth. Shouldn't have any problems getting that for him. Let's see, who needs corners? The Bucks. Bucks definitely need corners. Although they might like those 3 young guys. Let's see what other teams we might think about. The Colts. I think the Colts is a little better. They were a playoff team. Get a 4th rounder for Janoris. Nice. All right, we got some more picks. Hopefully we can beef up this offensive line and our quarterback position. I think we're off to the right start here for the Giants. I think Giants fans would agree with that. Nice. We get winners. Wow. I think Giants fans would be very happy with this offseason. Really starting to head in the right direction. The defense is going to be a mess, but we're definitely headed in the right direction. So we're going to just get to stage 3 of free agency here and maybe poach some dudes here towards the back end of free agency. Looks like the Packers released Deshaun Kaiser. I wouldn't mind bringing him in just to compete. The Packers going back after Ty Montgomery. Getting a free 7th round pick for trading him away. And then I've always loved the idea of a team doing that. Like just having a wink-wink agreement. Like, hey, we're going to trade you away, but why don't you just re-sign with us when we're done? We're going to be a little different here. Go a little more under the radar player for our receiving back. Raheem Mostert. Good year for the 49ers. Good just speed, elusive back. Nothing special, but a good change of pace. We do have Wayne Gallman here. But Mostert can be a guy that comes in and relieves Saquon in the receiving game a little bit. Make a run for my boy Alex Erickson here. We definitely need some receiver depth. He's a good guy. He can be a good kick returner for us too. Looks like Deontay Burnett did not stick with the Jets, so maybe talk to him too. See if he wants to stay in New York. And then Demetrius Harris could be a nice guy to have, just kind of poaching him from that good Kansas City team who had a good year, but also a guy that is very fast like Evan Ingram. And if anything were to happen to Ingram, he can kind of fill that role. It's kind of a rare type of player that takes to fill that, so good to get that. Spriggs is an intriguing player that could be a good depth play for us. And there's no guarantee these guys take these contracts, but it can't hurt. Margus Hunt has gone unsigned to this point. I really like the idea of him. We thought about trying to bring back Kerry Wynn. Well, Margus Hunt is a much better version of Kerry Wynn. He's regressed a little and he's 32, so maybe just a 1-year deal, but I'd love to get him in here. Roy Robertson Harris, too. He could really spark some life up front for us. I like this signing a lot. Good prospect out of Chicago, just a player that they probably could let go because they have a lot of talent on that D-line, but just kind of, I always am a fan of going after those players that are coming from deep, talented teams. Chicago is a Super Bowl team here. So a 3-year deal for Harris. Even like Kerry Hyder, versatile 3rd down pass rusher. Do we give Randy Gregory a chance to get some revenge on the Cowboys? I know I said I want to run a clean organization, but a little different types of talent here between Randy Gregory and Chad Kelly. He has stayed out of trouble. I don't mind it. A 1-year prove-it deal for him. We don't have any talent on the edge, at least on our second edge position outside of Lorenzo Carter. Same thing could be said about Shane Ray, but he's actually getting an offer. I want to make an offer on Darryl Roberts. He did some nice things for the Jets across the pond. Keep him in New York. And then we could really use some help at free safety. I'm going to go for Jalen Watkins coming from a deep Chargers secondary. 1-year deal. And hell yeah, we get all those guys that we just went after. So we've really loaded up the depth here and have some intriguing players that are going to come in and work. So that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Please do hit that like button. For the next episode, we'll have the draft and get into our first game action of the series. Cheers as always. We'll see you next time.